A watery-eyed 48-year-old Stephen Lopez listened intently as a New York State Supreme Court judge overturned his conviction and threw out his indictment in connection to the case of the Central Park jogger. Lopez simply thanked the judge and hugged his attorney before walking out of the courtroom, passing news cameras without comment.
I couldn't imagine having gone through this, and I think that he's, tremendously strong for having endured it. So I'm sure that he's feeling a range of emotions.
Lopez was 15 at the time of his arrest in 1989. He accepted a plea deal with prosecutors for the robbery of a male jogger in order to avoid the rape charge and served more than 3 years in prison.
Many largely forgot that there were 6 who were falsely accused of rape of the Central Park jogger.
Collectively, Lopez and the Central Park Five served more than 40 years in prison. The men, who eventually became known as the Exonerated Five, were Black and Hispanic teen boys when they were charged and convicted based in part on false confessions in the rape of a 28-year-old white female jogger in 1989. Then Manhattan DA Robert Morgenthau tossed their convictions after DNA evidence revealed the identity of the real rapist in 2002. The 5 settled their lawsuit against the city for $41 million. Lopez did not receive any of that. His attorney asked the DA to review his case last year.
That someone would plead guilty for something they didn't do is not something that the legal system always recognizes, but I'm glad that it was today.
Asked why Lopez was not exonerated along with the Central Park Five 20 years ago, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg had this to say.
There were trial convictions for the other 5 who were initially on the indictment for rape as compared to his plea conviction. So we're all speculating because we were not there in 2002.
The 48-year-old Lopez was there at the hearing and thanked the judge, though he did not speak to the media. Now, this is the first exoneration under Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who campaigned in part on revamping the office that does this type of work. In the meantime, a 7th defendant in the case also pleaded guilty to assaulting a male jogger. His conviction still stands. Nia Clark, New York 1.
Shocking story out of Rikers Island today that shows the jail is still in full crisis. 4 Rikers officers facing charges today. Now to a shocking story out of Rikers Island today that shows the jail is still in full crisis. 4 Rikers officers facing charges today, accused of doing nothing for nearly 8 minutes while one of the prisoners in their care tried to hang himself. News 4's Erica Byfield is live in the concourse section of the Bronx with the details on this case. Erica.
Hi, Rana. Yeah, it was striking today to see those officers in handcuffs. The only time we heard them speak is when they said not guilty, when the judge asked them how they wanted to plead in this case. As that was happening right in front of me, that is where Nicholas's family was sitting. His grandmother afterwards told me that it made her angry to hear them say that.
Good job.
Nicholas Feliciano can't stand on his own, struggles to breathe, eat, talk. The result, his family says, of the 7 minutes and 51 seconds that he hung in a Rikers cell.
I've seen the video myself, and I seen what they did, and I had no doubt in my mind that that's what they had done.
His grandmother says that the incident left him with severe brain damage. Now, 3 Rikers corrections officers and a captain assigned to his unit are facing charges for watching him and allegedly doing nothing about it.
It's inexcusable that you have a hook in a pen that they know someone tried to commit suicide on.
The union representing the officers disputes the charges. The president said, "We will vigorously defend the rights of these officers and believe that they will be exonerated of any alleged wrongdoing." For years, News 4 has told you about problems at Rikers, unsanitary conditions, staffing issues, violence among the incarcerated, and a number of inmate deaths. The city plans to close the jail and replace it with jails in each borough. Nicholas's family is pushing back also on claims that these charges are politically motivated.
Sure, it's politically motivated in the sense that you need to shut Rikers Island down, and the entire city knows that it is an unsafe and people should not be sent there.
Nicholas was 18 at the time. His family and his attorney say that he had a well-documented history of being suicidal, but they think that either the jail staff didn't check or ignored the fact that he was a danger to himself. That day that he attempted suicide, he was in a cell by himself.
I'm totally full of emotions, and I'm heartbroken, but these officers need to be held accountable.
Nicholas is still in the hospital, needs around-the-clock medical care, and likely will for the rest of his life.
They took his future away.
The feds investigated this case and they decided not to charge those officers. Obviously, the Bronx DA did a separate investigation that leads us to where we are today. The judge inside the courtroom today, up on the floor where we all were, decided to let all of those officers go on their own recognizance. He also told them that they need to be back in this courthouse, in his courtroom, on September 15th. Erica Byfield, News 4, New York.
Corrections officers pled not guilty to reckless endangerment and to official misconduct. All those pleas coming after they are accused of failing to immediately render aid to an inmate 3 years ago who was trying to commit suicide. Now, at the time, Nicholas Feliciano was just 18 years old, and he was at Rikers Island, and he attempted to commit suicide. And according to the prosecutor, these corrections officers, one of them a supervisor, waited nearly 8 minutes, 7 minutes and 51 seconds before rendering aid. Feliciano's family says that he has brain damage and will require lifelong medical care. Feliciano's grandmother and his lawyer speaking outside the courthouse just a few minutes ago.
I'm going to keep fighting, and I want justification for my grandson, because what these officers did was wrong, and nobody deserves to go through that. And I wouldn't want this to happen to anybody else.
This case also shows really just the human catastrophe that is Rikers Island. The island needs to be shut down now. It needed to be shut down years ago. The idea they're still sending people to Rikers Island when everybody in this city knows they cannot be kept safe.
So the Union for the Corrections Officers releasing a statement saying that this case is being driven by politics. The union president saying the U.S. attorney previously conducted a thorough investigation and decided not to pursue criminal charges. Now, the 4 officers, 2 of who have resigned, 2 who are suspended, will be back in court in September to face these charges. Lori, for now, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Sharon, thank you.